Hello everyone and welcome to the Anthem Q&A at EA Play. It's great to be out here. My name is Connell Pierce and I'll be your host. With me is Casey Hudson, the GM for BioWare, and Mark Dara, the executive producer on Anthem. Woo! All right, so you just saw the trailer for Anthem. I don't know if any of you out there, did any of you have a chance to check out the demo? Oh, all of you. Well, if you haven't, there's still time. It's running over in the theater. Definitely check that out before it closes, because there's lots of great stuff to see in there. But for anyone who hasn't had a chance to see that, hasn't seen our press conference, Casey, what can you tell us about Anthem?
So Anthem is the big new game from BioWare that is based on a new IP. It's something that we started back in 2012, 2013. And we really wanted to create a game that would bring the big open world to discover, lots of world lore and backstory that you expect from a BioWare game, and one that would have lots of story and character. We also wanted to create a world that would be more alive than we've done before, something that was really shareable. If you're playing it and your friend isn't, you want to be able to tell them what's going on in the world, because you know that if they jump into your game, they jump in anywhere in the world, they're going to see the things that you're seeing, because it's a living, shared world that changes all the time. And then the other thing is that ability to be able to play with friends. So if you want to, you can invite your friends, you can jump in with other people, you can also play it on your own if you want, but playing with friends a choice. And that was kind of like the things that went into the genesis of Anthem at the beginning in terms of a vision. And so we've been kind of working over the last few years to achieve that vision, and now Mark and the team are here to kind of show it off.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most action-focused game that we've ever made. You fly, you swim, combat is really fluid and really incorporates that fast movement. As Casey said, this is a world that's ever-changing. This is a world that was left unfinished by the gods that created it, which means we can change the experience you have day to day, month to month, and keep that experience fresh for a long period of time.
And you talked about running, flying, swimming, and you're able to do that all because of the exosuits. We actually have a life-size version of one of those exosuits here that we can bring on out. This is the Interceptor. So, Mark, what can you tell us about the Interceptor?
I was waiting for the music to stop.
That's true.
Where is
Should have waited for the music cue.
So the Interceptor is one of 4 javelins that you get in Anthem, and this is the fastest, most agile of the 4 suits. Very nimble, very able to move quickly and really get in an optimal position, dodge a lot of fire. The other 3 suits are the Colossus, really heavy, specialized on being heavily armed and heavily armored. The Ranger, which is a sort of middle suit that is able to be agile but also take a lot of punishment, get in close, and really take the fight to the enemy. And then the Storm, which actually uses the technology of the gods to power itself. So it's more mystical, more like a magical suit. Because the Shapers, the gods of this world, left their tools of creation behind, and they're just constantly reshaping this world. That's what the Storm taps into.
Yeah, and the really neat thing about these is that it's really based on the idea of trying to get to really a superhero feeling without actually being the superhero. You're a pilot, and just like any of you, you're a normal human being that you can then jump into a suit that makes you an archetype of a superhero. And that's something that you can identify with and aspire to. You can see the suit there. Putting that on turns you into a super fast, agile hero. And the cool thing about it is you're not just running around on the ground. You're able to fly. You look way up and you see a mountain. You know that you can get up there, and you know that you can jump off of that mountain and dive all the way down into water and swim into the deepest caves. And it's an amazing feeling to be able to explore a game world in that way.
Yeah, I mean, and it's important to remember that you're not just one suit. You're a pilot, and you're going to unlock all 4 suits over the course of the game, letting you change that superheroic experience from something agile and fast to something slower and able to take a lot more punishment, depending on how you want to play and who you're playing with and the experience you want to have in the moment.
So what we're seeing right there is the iconic look, and that's what it's based on, but you can change up your suit. So tell us, how does customization work and personalization? How do you make these suits your own?
Yeah, so there's two things. Customization is really about making the suit play the way you want, making the Javelin play the way you want. So you have gear slots that you swap out to change the way that your abilities work, as well as changing out your weapon. So you can see there the Interceptor has a pistol, but they can also use an assault rifle and certain other weapons, going all the way up to miniguns that are weapons that the Colossus can use. But you also have gear that, like mortars and flamethrowers and things like that, that really allow you to personalize the way the suit plays. But then again, on top of that, you have personalization, which allows you to make the suit look the way you want, both by changing the entire paint job of the suit to really make it look have that just finish that you like, but also by adding parts onto it and rearranging parts to change the silhouette and change the way that the suit actually looks. You're going to be using these Javelins for a long period of time, so we really want you to have the ability to make them really feel like your own.
Well, they look great, and you can actually see all four of them together outside of our theater demo where our performers will be in them, so you can see the Colossus, the Storm, the Ranger, and the Interceptor together. But I'll say thank you to our performers, and I'll let them get back on over there, and then we'll move on. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And we'll move on to another question, which we've heard tons of from gamers out there. A thing that they're all concerned with is loot boxes and monetization. Casey, what is the story with microtransactions in Anthem?
Yeah, so I mean, it's super important to us that, first of all, we build a game where what you buy with the full price of the game gives you a huge value. You don't feel like you need to buy anything else, and that includes like the main story arc, open world, and a long period of time when you're getting new content put into the live service every day. But in addition, we want to be super clear. There's going to be no loot boxes. There's no pay for power. We want to make sure that if we create something at some point that we offer up for sale of actual money, then you know what you're going to get before you buy it, and that you don't really have to get that in order to enjoy the full game, which continues on. And the whole point of this is the game is something that is meant to live over a long time, and we keep feeding things into it to keep changing things and making it interesting for you, and that's what you get with the game.
All right, so a thing that BioWare is known for is its world and stories. So what can you tell us right now about the world of Anthem?
Yeah, so the world of Anthem, as I mentioned, was abandoned by its creators, by its gods, before they were finished with it. So it's ever changing. The world is actually not to scale to humanity. So when you're out there, it's so dangerous. You need to put on this powered armor just to survive out in the environment. There are predators and even herbivores that can just wipe you off the face of the earth, even in this powered armor. But ultimately, from a storytelling perspective, your primary enemy is the Dominion, another human faction that have been bent on dominating humanity for a long period of time that you have to resist, because they believe they can use these Shaper ruins, this Shaper technology, to control humanity, and you need to go out, quiet these down, and stop them from doing that.
Now, what about relationships? I know we've taken a different approach to it, so tell me, how do characters, what are they like in Anthem?
Yeah, I mean, at its core, BioWare has always told story through characters, and that's still true in Anthem. We want to make sure that these are characters that you have relationships with, you form friendships with, interact over a long period of time, that you feel that they're alive and that they react to what you do, and you can change their lives and have an impact on them by the conversations and actions you perform.
Now, what about, how does it work for telling a single player story in a multiplayer world?
So the core of that is what we call Our World, My Story, which is about giving you this open world where we're sharing this experience together, where the weather, the time of day, the things that are going on are common across everyone in the world who's playing. And that gives us this common thing to talk about, an experience to share. When we go to work the next day and are talking around the water cooler, we don't have to worry about spoilers. But then when I go back to a base like Fort Tarsis, this is a single player experience where I take away the pressure of having to just quickly get through story and get to experience the story at my own pace and have the game react to me and the actions and conversations that I've had, and not anyone else, where I can be as important as you expect from a single player story, but still have the fun of playing a multiplayer game.
Yeah, and that's actually something that, it's actually a really different approach, and so it's been kind of interesting to explain it to people, because it's not like building an open world multiplayer game and then figuring out how to put story into it in a way that's going to fight the multiplayer aspect. It really is about structuring Anthem like really from the ground up to have a place and a mechanism for your personal story and your ownership of your story, but then a way for you to get out into the open world where you experience world story in a real-time sense, in a shared sense with the other players that you choose to be with.
So let's talk a little bit about being with those other players. How does the matchmaking work in that? And say I'm the type of person who doesn't have a lot of time, I can't play as much, and my friends play all the time. Am I still going to be able to match up with someone who's high level?
Yeah, you can always match up with whoever you want, so there's no level limitations locking you from playing with other people. But when we do matchmaking where you're not playing with people you already know, we're trying to make that as seamless as possible, so that the experience is, you just decide you want to go on a mission, and it should be almost invisible as to whether you're playing with somebody else or not. And the experience should just seamlessly escort you into a 4-player experience. That's both through the matchmaking as well as through the world map, which shows you opportunities for grouping up with different people.
Yeah, and I can say that I'm one of the types of players that kind of like to do my own thing. I'll play with players some other time, sometimes some friends, but mostly I just kind of want to do my own thing. But the cool thing is that it's really meant to be super easy for you to choose to play with people or not. So what I tend to do, I go in and I know that there are friends in there, and I can actually see as they go off and start different missions, I can see them, a little invite come across, and I can ignore all of them because I like to spend a lot of time walking around Fort Tarsis, looking at the market and like talking to characters and things like that. But then after I've done that, then I'll start paying attention to some of the invites that are coming across, and I'll go, oh, that sounds really cool. And then you're off on that mission. Or I can say, like, no, I'm going to start my own mission, and I do that. I pick the thing that I want to do, and it will send invites out to only who I want to. It could be everyone. It could be just my one friend. It'll send the invite out, and then I'm on the mission, and people will join me as I've selected them to do. So it just makes it super easy to have control and agency over the kind of experience you want, but also you have control over the friends that join in with you and when and how that happens.
So let's talk a little bit more about the gameplay. Now, you've mentioned the running, jumping, flying, swimming, all of the great traversal you can do in your exos, but there's also that combat, and we have a ton of that you can see in our demo. So maybe tell us a little bit about what people can see over in the theater at the Anthem demo experience.
Yeah, so what we're showing in the theater experience is really representative of what we'd consider an evening of play. It's a stronghold, which is a 4-player experience, tougher than what you'd experience out on a mission out in the open world, really focused around grinding up for better loot. This is a mission where you're going to go against Scars, an invader that have come through the Shaper Ruins, as well as, well, let's say spiders. And it's really more of a test for a higher level group to group up and test themselves.
Okay, and last question for Casey, when does it come out?
So Anthem comes out February 22nd, 2019 on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Casey. Thank all of you for coming out. And if you hadn't had a chance to check it out yet, please go check out the Anthem Theater experience. It's well worth your time. And as a last thing, I've got some shirts here I'm going to throw out. So if you want a shirt,